Got some great weather.
I was out and they did settle yesterday, looking at the sunset.
Okay, October 20th, Planning Board meeting is now open. First thing on the agenda is William McCormick, completion of Berry Hill. And state your name for the record, please.
Certainly, it's William Cormack.
Yep.
I'm a homeowner at Berry Hill, and the gentlemen are.
Now, you're going to be doing all the speaking? Pretty much so. Could you stand at the podium so we could hear into the...
They'll get it on the TV much better that way.
Again, I'm William Cormack. I'm a resident and homeowner at Berry Hill. And
And Berry Hill Estates is the 55 and older
that's correct.
project off
it's
of
been
Pine Street.
off Pine Street, right?
Okay.
And Pleasant. It's been taken over by the Turner Brothers, much to our profit. But we are now watching the completion of the last 5 units. They're in various stages of construction. They're going very quickly on them to get them into, closed in for the winter, I assume. And we'd like to know what safeguards and what will happen with the road and the parking lot at the clubhouse as to what the town, we're assuming the town is watching the completion of this as it goes along, visiting the offices here. We didn't find anybody who made it, said it was their business to watch these things. And so we're here tonight to ask you, fine gentlemen, that question.
Well, a few weeks ago, maybe even probably might have even been a couple of months ago now, former town planner Tim had brought it to my attention, and I had him check into it. Now, the Turners have agreed to complete the roads. What we have for safeguards is, I had spoken to the building inspector, and the building inspector is not going to give occupancy permits to the last 5 houses until we have security that those roads are going to be completed. When they came, and I say they, when the bank came in front of us, they had, I think the final phase, I think they came in front of us for approvals, and as part of our last approval process, it stated in the certificate of action that the person or persons who take over the development, it doesn't mention the Turners as an individual because they were present at that meeting, but we didn't know if the sale was going to go through with them or not. So the certificate of action does state that they had to come up with funds to secure the completion of the roads. Unfortunately, between new town planner, new building inspector, they did receive building permits for the last 5 before those funds, before we received any funds or security for the completion of the roads. So when I spoke to the building inspector, he had let the Turners know that he wasn't going to give occupancy permits until they came forward with security of what they were supposed to provide us with. So at our last meeting, what we agreed to do is we had Mr. Fountain reached out to town council for him to get in touch with their lawyer the Turner Brothers lawyers
Right.
and let them know what our position is. So that's where we stand right now. We do have town council aware of it, and I haven't heard anything this week about him, actually talking to their attorney. But the building inspector has agreed not to give occupancy permits unless we're satisfied with what needs to be, funds are secured for the completion. Now, if
Yeah,
you could
that's-
state your name for the record,
Smith, William Smith, owner at Berry Hill,
and what's your address?
16 Clubhouse Circle.
Okay, and what was your question?
You were talking about the contingency of being just the roads, the completion, putting the money up. But is there any other contingencies for example, we have I don't know how big a water issue it is, but that's of concern. We have a high level of water that runs through the back of the yard right in that center island. And I was wondering, I thought they were going to put a drainage in, I don't know if they did or not, but it doesn't seem to be doing what it's supposed to do.
Well, what we'll do is we will take a look at the original approved plans to make sure that it was done according to the plans. We do have engineer on the board, so he could help us out. I'm sure Chris will be glad to, we'll get out the plans. Maybe the board can take a visit over there.
What they probably did was build all the houses around the perimeter, because it all had to come up 5 or 6 feet. They probably didn't fill the middle of it to grade it.
So we are, we're going to make sure that the things get done the way they were supposed to get done. We were very open and upfront with the bank, which is Bridgewater Savings Bank, when they had taken it back for foreclosure. They had tried, for years, working with different builders, and so through that process, I think the Bridgewater Savings Bank worked with the town and with the homeowners very well. I think they, seem to have done everything that they were asked to do, and I can't see, them stepping out of the way if things aren't completed. I know it's not their responsibility because they sold it off, but I am sure they still have paper on those 5 houses.
It may not be, though. I don't, what happened to the original bond? Or was there one? There had to be something, a lot release. Maureen, do you remember?
Do we have an original bond?
The original bond was for the original developer, Mr. Marioni.
Supposed to run with the land, though.
So we gave it back to him, is that what you're saying?
No, we just never called it in because we thought it ran with the developer.
Really?
We would have had, and I think
Because what happened, I'm thinking,
back then, we would have had, we would have asked town council, and we would have had correspondence, because the same developer had King Estates, and
Yeah.
and that one there, we also had issues.
we got that.
That-
though,
Right, we did, but we had to go through the bank.
Besides, the attorney stepped in, so it really never came down to calling the bond in.
Yeah.
I'm just looking back at history. Forge Estates, that was Gabby's land over there.
In the back.
The
back,
Turners
yeah.
ended up taking. When they took it, bought it at auction, they bought the lots. And so the bank was responsible to finish the road, not the guy who got the lots, because at first, I remember Henry wouldn't issue their building permit to do site plan. They said, they came in and said, basically, you have to. We bought the lots, we're not responsible for the road. I don't know if that's the case here.
Well, it
It's
is,
the bank.
but the only difference in this, our certificate of action, and I read it just 2 weeks ago, in our certificate of action, we did say that the person or persons taking over the development assume responsibility.
I remember you mentioned that.
It's pretty specific. Again, it doesn't say Turner's, because even though they were in front of us, right, it could be anybody. So, you know, I was in the building inspector's office a couple of weeks ago, and we went over that, and it's clear as can be. So, we will, we're not, you know, we're not gonna let it fall. It's not up to the town to step up and complete roads or parking areas or stuff like that, but it is up to us to oversee it and make sure things are done according to plan.
Right, I guess our concern is when we saw the last 5 get permits, and we looked and found no covenants or anything, and we look at the season, I don't imagine that they could complete the road before they want to sell those houses.
Right.
And, but as long as you guys are on top of them, I think we're happy that that you're doing that and satisfied.
Yeah, and like I said, before it gets too cold, I think the board as a whole will probably review the plans, review the original approvals,
Go take a look.
and then
See it.
maybe we can go out there and take a look.
Maybe invite them in, invite the bank in,
And,
see
yeah,
if we can get a construction schedule.
once we can figure out what everything, you know, all the original approvals said, then I think we can get everybody involved who belongs here, and
Okay. On those drainage issues between the houses, they aren't necessarily obvious if you drive by today. Do we need to, notify you somehow of potential being a problem?
well, what we'll
or-
do is we'll look at the plans, and then we'll, I think, if you could give Maureen your contact information, so when we're ready to take a ride out there, I'm sure the building inspector will also go with us.
Okay.
And, so, if you can, like I said, give Maureen your information, she'll let you know when we're gonna be going out there.
Great.
And then, it'll be within the next couple of weeks, because weather's still good, and,
Yeah. Oh, good.
now, who's been doing the plowing and basically maintenance and cutting and,
Well, the Turner Brothers have been doing the plowing with their own forces.
so they've been plowing all the streets?
Yes, they have, and the homeowners association, of course, is charged for that, but, and then Advanced Lawn Care has been doing the grass cutting up there at their direction. Right now, as we speak, there are 3 trustees in the homeowners association. One of them is right here, Bill Acivita, and the other 2 are George and Bob Turner. And so they're still in control of the association. Probably, well, we don't know what there is going to happen at the April meeting of the association. We wouldn't be surprised to see them resign.
Well, for them to control the board, also take responsibility of plowing, I'm sure they know what their responsibilities are for completion. It's just a matter of getting them in here to make sure that we have a full understanding before any occupancy permits are released. Plus, we also need to see funds, because it just was an oversight between new town planner, new building inspector, for us
you've
not
had
to have
turnover.
already received the funds, because right now they're in breach of contract, really, with the town. And so that's why we're holding, occupancy permits. But we do have town council working on it, building inspector is working on it, planning board will be working on it, so.
Good.
We don't want, back when the bank had taken it over, it was quite a mess, and it was pretty frustrating for all of us, and,
Yeah. And we have to say
we were
that-
all here, and we were here, and it was a tough situation, so let's,
Yeah. Well, we have to say the Turners have, done a good job of, finishing out the place. We just wanted to be sure that
right.
it
Now,
gets
they
done.
went in and finished the clubhouse too, right?
Well, the clubhouse was finished to a level of VFW all, and they went in and
We did it.
redid it and made it considerably fancier, for their own benefit,
Right.
selling the houses.
Right,
But
right.
we benefit as well.
But again, for their own benefit, so if they took the responsibility of completing the clubhouse, you can't do certain things and not take responsibility of everything.
Right.
So I think they're pretty aware of what their responsibilities are. We just have to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yes, we appreciate that. Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Maureen, do you have his?
I do have his phone number.
Okay, so we'll be in touch. All right, Nick Harris, Form A, Pine Street.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, have a good night. Thanks for coming in.
The only thing that's different, there.
I am going to take you out.
Okay, state your name for the record, please.
Excuse me. Nick Harris?
And Form A, Pine Street.
Yes, I resubmitted the plan after withdrawing it the last meeting. I went and spoke to the town tax collector and discussed the situation regarding this particular lot. I also reviewed the state statute that he addressed in his letter, discussed it with my attorney, who was going to try to reach out.
Before you go, do we have a letter from,
Not a new letter, no. We have a letter that we got 2 weeks ago.
okay, so how are we,
You want to see that letter? I might have it in my.
I have it.
no, I already have the letter. We've already read the letter, and that's why we didn't vote on this last time. So, do you have, if we don't have a letter in front of us, whether you read the state statute or not, it's a town policy that that's our town policy. Unless I'm told otherwise, that's, what we're standing by. I'm surprised that we don't have a letter. Did you come up with an agreement? Did you?
I told him that the taxes would be paid on this particular lot, but there seems to be a question of about a $5,000 fee, tax that was, he said that was brought back to 2015, and when we paid that $500,000 in taxes, all of the taxes were brought up to the fiscal year end of 15, because my bank would obviously not close unless the taxes were all paid up to date.
But that was for Bassett Knoll.
Well, this was part of Bassett Knoll.
That was for all the Kelleher properties.
That was all of the...
This was part of it?
Yes,
Some across the street.
correct.
It was basically.
All right, well, again,
The brothers.
I received a letter asking us not to do any voting on any plan.
Well,
It's,
I'm looking at the letter here, Mr. Andrade, and it definitely addresses licenses and permits. This is neither.
isn't that addressed to the planning board?
Yes.
Yep.
But he's talking about,
So, until I get a letter from,
you are advised that any license or permit issued by the town regarding this property should be denied. Well, this is neither a license nor a permit. This is an endorsement by the planning board indicating it doesn't require any further planning board
unless I get a letter from him stating that, then again, you can withdraw it without prejudice, but
Well,
I'm not hearing it tonight.
in previous meetings,
So,
you've taken the same situation where taxes were due and signed it, and Bert Fountain held it in escrow until the taxes were resolved.
Tax collector, Michael.
He's been out this week.
Yeah, he's been out all week, yeah. So I have no problem with that either.
Yeah. You had 2 weeks to resolve.
I understand that, but your tax people went away.
All right, so the tax people are away. We meet in another 2 weeks. When's the time to act on Form A?
If we submitted, we have 21 days.
Okay, so we got 21 days. So we don't have sufficient information from the town. to vote on it, so I suggest that we can continue it until November 3rd.
When was it submitted?
Just recently. He withdrew it last time.
So we'll have to resubmit it today?
It hasn't been filed with the town clerk yet?
So it hasn't officially been submitted?
No, unless we're counting tonight as the official submitted.
Yeah, it can come to a meeting instead of the town clerk.
Yeah, I would say tonight's the official
Yeah.
submittal. Roll it up, and we will, when he comes in next week, let's make sure that you have it taken care of with him, and he can ask town council. Again, I have a letter from him addressing to the planning board. I'm chairman of the planning board, and unless I hear differently, we're going to continue this meeting for a Form A on Pine Street lot until November 3rd. November 3rd, we have a Form A, New State Highway, Form A 610, 6:15 on November 3rd.
6:15?
6:15, November 3rd.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see.
Now he's submitting it as a Form A with a proposed road improvement.
Yeah, because there's no road that's in front of,
Instead of as a definitive.
Yeah, a definitive,
Instead of, like,
come in with a-
in my case, that means I could do a Form A and just show a road improvement.
well, the road is there, it's all the way down the end.
Yeah, it's just dirt.
It's just dirt, and it needs to be paved, and it needs to, so it's an existing,
Yeah, it's an existing.
yeah.
Usually taking them as definitives. Well, the other question is what he's saying. I actually agree with, because I've gone through that, gone through case law with Tom.
Yeah,
You can
but,
deny a permit,
yeah, well,
so the tax collector's making
I
a
have
decision.
a, I have a,
That's generally been our policy.
I have a letter from the tax collector to address to the planning board for the plan, and, you know, it's always been our policy that taxes have to be,
Did you get that letter?
taxes have to
No,
be
but I'm
paid.
familiar with it. I know,
I was gonna say it's there.
I've gone through this with Taunton and times, and basically, if a subdivision comes in, the way I've read the law, then, you know, policy's one thing, but if you go to court, they say, we don't give a shit about your policy, we care about the law. And you can deny a permit, but you can't, he's not asking for a permit. But like the zoning board in Taunton, if you don't walk in with a clear municipal lien, you're asking for a special permit or variance, they just tell you to go dig a hike. They won't even open the hearing.
Maureen, we have funds, these funds,
Oh, is that Bassett Knoll?
Bass and Knoll,
Yeah.
where we need funds.
Well, we do, but my question is, there's some money in there from Mr. Shute, who did a preliminary previously. Can we dig into those funds, or we need to return them to him?
Those will be returned to him.
That's what I thought.
You can't pay
Well,
Nick's bills
but-
with his money.
I didn't know if him and Nick had.
Oh, wait a
some
minute,
agreement.
though, aren't we working off of the same plan?
We are, and I didn't.
Same approved, it's an approved plan by,
Different applicant.
It is a different
It's
applicant.
a totally different
Oh, well,
applicant.
if
and
it's
they did a
different
plan
applicant.
with a different engineer, and
they went through the, then, yeah, his funds need to be returned. and-
Yeah, Mr. Shute only went as far as the preliminary. Okay, so we will need funds from Nick then, Mr. Harris.
So we only have 2129,
Yeah, that first top one, I think.
and
he
we have,
just dodged a bullet.
we have a bill that's 3745.
Oh, no, that's the balance after the bill.
Oh, after the bill?
Yeah, we're good to pay that bill.
Should Maureen suggest when he comes back in before the next meeting that he should be ready to,
I'll write him a little
yeah.
email.
Well, what I'd like to do, could you reach out to Judith Nitsch, Steve from Nitsch, and
Yes.
ask what his thoughts are for,
Yep, him and I have discussed it.
And,
He gave me a number, I think it was 6,000, I'll have to check to be sure.
He's still a ways away out there.
Yeah.
He's still quite a ways
oh, I
away.
know, we don't even have, the last 2 feet of the, sieve analysis for the road and, well, I would, how far is $6,000 gonna get us when we have a $3,700 bill in front of us? I don't wanna croak them over the winter.
Right.
So I guess I'll make a motion that we ask Nick Harris to increase his account by another additional $6,000 for review. And I would like something in writing from Nitch,
Okay.
because I'd like to pass that along to Highway Department. Ed, so Ed's involved.
What do you mean, a schedule of what's being done?
Well, I've been in contact with Ed quite a bit on this, and after Tim had left, I called Ed and told him to make sure that, he was a big part of it.
I did ask Steve for that update.
Okay,
I'll have to ask him again.
all right, well, I want to make sure Ed has it, because Ed's been going there, doing inspections and visits and making sure that, things are still being done. Sewer department was happy with, they hired out, they didn't do it themselves, they were gonna, but then they wound up hiring it out. So that, I believe, was all completed and signed off, so they were happy with that.
Still got
Yeah,
a separate inspector to be there all day.
no, Harris, the developer hired out something to install it. Where they started it,
Oh, really?
they were doing it themselves, but then they decided to go, they were I don't know if they were having issues, whatever, but they wound up hiring somebody to do it. So, I know at the time, the sewer department was very happy that he wasn't doing it himself. So, motion was made for the $6,000. Seconded, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. So we can ask him for the $6,000, but again, I'd still like to have that update.
Is that through Maureen? So it's asking him through Maureen?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then so then by the time the next meeting, he won't come in here surprised.
Yep. And we have this certificate of action we're going to take, which mine already has Chris crossed off there.
I'm gonna redo the original first page over, take Chris's X out of there.
Taking quick
Now,
out.
has Brick gone through it?
No, he's been away all week.
All right, so you're going to change it?
Yes. Though there's 2 things I changed, they're highlighted in yellow.
Yeah.
I cited the wrong section for the special permit,
Okay.
and in the number 3, I think it is,
3 on the waivers,
I took
yeah.
out the words industrial use under waivers, 3 waiver.
Okay. You took out,
Somewhere that's no longer there.
Right. It was
I'm
in the,
looking,
it was in the.
I'm looking for the yellow highlighted.
Oh, it's just enough of the correction.
Okay,
You should have just lined out what you take out.
gotcha.
I know, I just didn't say it.
All right, so you're gonna take care of, you're gonna make those,
Yeah, are you okay with the number of
I
parking
read,
spaces?
I read it last, when you sent it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought up, I had a question here on the parking spaces that she just mentioned. And help me remember this here. Originally, when they came in with the original plan, back when, whenever, the original building, they got waived to only have 50 parking places instead of, I think it was 114 or something like that, but they only put in 34. When he came here 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, they were gonna go up to the 50, but Dan, I seem to remember you pointing to the plan and saying, couldn't you get X number? And then if you go in the back here under conditions, under condition 1, it says the 50 parking spaces being provided on site shall be shown on the plan, including 15 new parking spaces, which says on the front page that 50 should say 65, shouldn't it?
No, the
Or am I
50
misunderstanding?
No, no,
15
no.
are in the 50.
Yeah, the 15 are already in the 50, because they They needed 10 to be what they originally were approved for, 10 more. They were only increasing by 5. Yeah,
Okay, all right.
so they were only,
I was just
yeah,
fuzzy on it.
they were only increasing by 5.
That's fine.
And that 15 is in the 50.
Okay.
So they are adding.
Yeah.
They're
showing
I know they were,
They have
I know they
to-
were going up to the original quantity.
Exactly. They have plus 5.
Okay.
So,
Plus 5, yeah.
plus 5.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was fine.
All right, I just misunderstood.
All right. Town planner update. Tim? John, whatever your name is.
Last long.
Yeah, that's it.
I think you got, huh?
Tim is gone?
Oh, you didn't get that last meeting? Oh, yeah, he resigned. Then went on vacation.
I knew he was going on vacation, but I didn't know that he...
First-
Come back,
We haven't
It's
seen,
a long vacation.
we haven't seen him.
haven't heard from him.
Did we know that he was leaving, or did he just go on vacation?
Yeah,
and
when
come
we got
back?
the letter of resignation. That was it.
He gave his letter on Friday and then he was on vacation for 2 weeks.
Does he do direct deposit, or does he have to come back for a check?
Direct deposit.
Okay.
So I'm, I was floored.
Yeah.
Because I thought we had a good working relationship. I thought he was doing,
Yeah, he was,
you know,
I thought he did a good job, yeah.
And Bill Inspector was getting to, they were starting to get together, and Highway
So, any
Department,
reason?
No, a little worried.
Highway Department was,
Personal things.
Ed was happy with him, and, starting to,
It's too bad.
So it's, we're on the road
yeah,
again.
so, again, so, I hope it wasn't because I called him John twice.
That's what I'm saying, maybe that's the problem, was you didn't know his name.
Other than that, let's see, invoices.
We got any
We're gonna sign this one here, I'll pass that down to you. Minutes, we don't have minutes.
No minutes.
Correspondence. Serpent update.
Well, I gave you the
Anything good?
update last time because we had the meeting. The next meeting is
Yep.
next week. But I did get an email just before I came in to the meeting here today from Jeff Walker, who is the new director at Serpent. And this month's meeting, next Wednesday, the 26th, Gene Fox, who is the project manager, and Jim Eng, who's the deputy rail administrator for the Transit Division of Mass DOT, are going to be there, and they're going to put on a presentation on the new line to Boston out of Fall River and New Bedford, and they'll address this whole issue with the Middleborough line that we talked about. If anybody's interested, it's, 7 o'clock next Wednesday if you want to. I don't know if you went to any of the other meetings that were held in the various locations. It's interesting, this meeting won't have, well, maybe it will, have people saying, yeah, we don't like this, we do like it, and so forth. But it's interesting to understand what it means to the area.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Well, believe it or not, I used to be on Serpent back in the
Yeah?
early day.
Well, good, then maybe next year I won't have to do this again, somebody else can do it.
And it was, back then, I had, went to a few of those meetings about the rail.
The presentation that I went to the one at ECC in the mall.
And Senator Pacheco said that his first meeting on the rail system was in the 1980s. Only in Massachusetts does that happen. Only in Massachusetts. That's incredible. We're talking decades, and we
That's why
haven't,
everybody's laughing.
yeah.
Spend too much time on presentations and not enough...
Oh, really? I mean, I can't imagine the money they've spent on
Years ago,
presentation and
In like the mid-'80s, I was dating a girl whose grandfather was named Savini, the Hotel Easton there.
Uh-huh.
And he was waiting and waiting and waiting, and he had all the plans for it. He had been waiting for years
Yeah.
then, hoping to
Yeah.
make his big payday and sell the hotel. He ended up, never seeing any of the money and not living to see any of the income.
It's sad, I
It was
mean,
a long,
'cause
same with the Middleborough in the mid-'80s.
With the Rotary thing?
When I worked at BSC to go over the Rotary and all that.
well, they just recently
happened.
pulled all the funds for that. They dropped it from the state has dropped that from the
Really?
plans. And the gentleman who's a Serpent member from Middleborough, whenever we go around each meeting and introduce ourselves. What's the matter?
I don't know.
And where we're from, he says, "I'm such and such, Middleborough Circle." That's the only way he introduces himself, Middleborough Circle. It's just,
Wayne wants us to stop our small talk and get back to planning board issues.
I'm reporting on Serpent, that is a planning board issue, unless you want to go to the meeting next month.
I gotta get out and do
So-
Boy Scouts.
Other than that, anything else? No?
No correspondence?
All right.
No?
Well, we're gonna thank Wayne for his, on-the-ball.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What's this signed COA on the site plan and special permitting?
Russ has it. That's the certificate of action for
China.
China Eternal.
Okay. Oh, all right, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
So is it okay to sign? You want to vote to sign it?
Yeah, we can, you're gonna sign it with the changes that you, had, let us know.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye,
As he's signing,
because I know you wanted to get that signed tonight.
October 20th. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.